The players, the personalities who come from around the world to play professional soccer in the United States.
Go, go, USA! Oh, it's incredible!
In a world where some call it football, football, or soccer, they dare to call it foosball. One thinks New York is blue, the other thinks New York is red. Soccer in America from a German perspective. Let them put some sauerkraut on your hot dog and join them for the Schnitzel Boys USA Hour.
Just tweeting us, just tweeting, getting the post game. We have to compete against CBS Golazzo and a bunch of others. But for the real Schnitzel Cups, real Schnitzel freaks, the time is now. This is the USA contra Panama post game reaction show.
People always watch and listen to multiple things at the same time, right? Just add us to your multi-screen lineup.
It is 2024, and part of watching these major events is it's now not a luxury to have a couple screens on at the same time. Like in the last round of the Euros, you can have the game on the TV,
Yeah,
the game
have
on the
the
iPad.
two. Right. I don't. Yeah, I mean, I'm old. I don't
do that either because when I went to the Germany Switzerland game, I had Scotland on the phone, but all I did was use it to just peer down every now and then and get a gist of what was going on. Really, that's what's going on.
Yeah, I feel like. Well, anyway, you say you speak. I was saying about the multi-screen experience. I just really like. I think. To me, I'm sometimes do this obviously if I'm working or whatever, especially right now when there's so many games. I watch things kind of, with one eye. But I don't usually get that much out of that. I might as well just watch highlights later. Like, I really feel like, so unlike other American sports where there's a lot of breaks and you tune out a lot, like soccer really is like a play to me. Like, I really get very sucked in, and if I'm really watching it, I don't want to watch other stuff. Anyway, unrelated. USA lost to Panama 2-1.
And you think it's everybody else's fault, not Greg.
No,
Greg's fine.
Listen,
you think it's Timue's fault. You think the fans are outrageous for being disappointed in their coach. You think we should know how shitty we are and we should be fine with how shitty we are.
Okay.
Because you're foreigners know the sport. Americans, we don't really know the sport. We're just like pretending our voice is wrong, right? Americans, the minute you hear the American voice, they're like, yeah, you're a piece of shit, and you're just the only people that don't realize it.
Oh my God. Wow, that hurts. You're accusing me of Euro snobbery? That is below the belt.
Well, I'm just sharing how easy it is to get me triggered. That's all.
Well, I guess that is my affliction in our relationship is I don't hate Greg Berhalter enough. You're making me hate him more. I wish we could talk about something else, but
I know you're quote unquote sick of it, but in the lifespan of a national team discourse, towards the end of a coach's life, this is what the discourse sounds like. There's nothing American about it.
It's
like, for Love, we spent 5 years talking about Love needs to go, right? It took a little too long.
It was two. It was like, I think after it was puzzling that after the World Cup, he should not have continued.
Right.
I mean, that was definitely clear. It was also clear that he was going to get that other World Cup. But after that, the next however long that was too long.
But with
but there's the flip side of if you're saying this is just the end of the coaches. I mean, the way that it's always exclusively his fault is unique, though. I find no.
Well, I'm trying to think where we can start all this. I think.
I mean, you were starting it on me. I'm not going to defend. I mean, this is not the night to be defending.
Let's
Greg,
talk.
Anyway.
No, keep me honest. I just want you to be honest, is all. I just want to make sure you're not being contrarian for contrarian's sake. I just want you to keep
Well,
me honest.
I'm not. I never.
You said that his game-making decisions in this game were spot on. That's what our last text chain.
No, that's not
If
what I
could
said.
Summarize.
That's not what I said. I said at some point I said
You want me to
clearly.
read
This,
them? You want me
at
to
some
read
point
them?
I said clearly this is not working. Right? Didn't I? I said.
You said you wanted
did-
Horvath, you got Horvath, which is
That's
a
what I said to
criticism
you.
of the-
Well, this is no. That I mean
which is
that's
so unrelated to what happened today.
Well-
it's not even a thing. And then the big thing was I criticized his decision after the red card, and you said that is standard coaching procedure for people.
well.
that
I
don't
mean, I
like
think
that.
it's not.
And I don't know if that's true, man. I mean, I'm trying to think.
Well, what he was, I understood what he was trying to do. If it worked or not is a different question. I said at some point in our exchange that it didn't seem like it was working. But all right, let's make it all about me being an asshole. It's a. I mean, he wanted the fullbacks to be higher. The Panama was crossing a lot at the end of the first half, and that was going to be a problem. So he wanted an extra center back so that the fullbacks had more time and room to attack these crossers, and that worked.
Yeah.
That worked somewhat.
Okay.
And obviously, you're a man down. I don't know if I had. I don't
Let's
know
talk
that I
about
would
that
have.
for- let's
I
talk
don't know
about
that I
for a
would have. And I mean, Tyler Adams clearly was on limited minutes. He wasn't going to go 90. Otherwise, I would have probably kept Tyler Adams in. Instead of and
let's
not
do this
brought
bit
in
by
Johnny
bit.
Cardoso, but I guess
do
he had to figure out how to. Anyway, whatever. All I was saying was like
Let's do
this
this
was a
bit by bit.
reasonable. It was a reasonable decision.
And I disagree with you. Let's just bit by bit.
Okay.
So, the push.
I mean, Carly Lloyd thinks that the wear red card is Greg's fault. She was sort of saying.
Really?
She was sort of
Well,
she was
let's
kind of
talk about
implying
that
like in a game like this, you know that Panama is going to get into your head. Like she didn't say it outright, but she was basically saying like, well, this is on Greg for not getting people into a better headspace to not get provoked like that. Which
Yeah, let's talk about all of it. I want to talk about all of this.
All right,
I have to
let's
work
do
with
it.
My ADHD head, it's wrong. So with the Tim Weah red card, right? You're saying it's all on Tim, right? It's like Greg didn't force him to do that. Yeah, obviously.
I think this whole okay.
However, there's precedence. Serginho Dest did this not 6 months ago. Therefore, the team has precedence. So this is not an isolated incident. And with Carly Lloyd saying these players aren't prepared for the guys getting in their heads, there is something to that. Greg, as head coach, needs to tell them they're going to get in your heads. For crying out loud, don't feed into their nonsense. We got VAR, we got boop, 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 ba, ba, ba. Now, sure, did Greg, like Voldemort, seep into Tim Weah's brain and force him to push a guy off him? No, that's Timo Weah really, really, really screwing up. Like, Tim Weah gets 90% of the blame on that. But when the bigger thing here is with head coach, sometimes you see a series of patterns. And that's another example of a pattern that we've been seeing under Greg. We've seen U.S. players get reds early and go crazy against CONCACAF refs and players like they don't know what to expect. And for whatever reason, no one at the helm of the coaching staff is managing that properly. Okay, so part of that does fall into Greg. All right? Am I saying he needs to mind control his players? No, but as head coach, part of the job is you're the manager. That does fall onto you. So I'm not sitting there saying like he made him do that. That is Tim Weah's fault. However, Carly Lloyd has a point that as head coach, that's your job to manage your players properly. We have a big game. We need to be 11v11. Especially, we can't be off a man. This is game 2. All right. Now let's go way back to the beginning with your whole back three, high up, fullbacks thing. Now I'm not an idiot. I know Joe Scally has proven very clearly he's a limited fullback. Not an attacking fullback. We know this. Why did Greg not know that? Why did Greg put Joe Scally in a position to go up top and put crosses in? Joe Scally doesn't do that. He doesn't do it for his club. That's not his skill set. As a manager, he needs to know that Joe Scally's skill set is limited fullback. Therefore, as a coach, you have to make decisions based on your players' strengths. That's one of Greg's weaknesses. He cares about his ideas more than the 11 boys he has on the field and what they can do. It's always, what can I do? That's the Greg criticism, and we saw that today. He's like, what I can do is I can add I can take another attacker off, Tim Weah's off. I'll take Reyna off. I'll put CCV on. So we're a heavily defensive team, and we're running up on the corners doing long balls. But the all that happened was they were defensive. All he did was invite Panama to come at them for the next 80 minutes, 70 minutes, which they did, and then they won. Surprise, surprise. He was setting us up to sit there and hold for 80 minutes. What he should have done, with the strength of his players, is there was a hole there on the right. He should have played a 4-4-1 or a 4-3-2, moving Pulley and Ballo a little over or something. He should have just adjusted it to fill in that space. The back four was still fine with Tim Ream and Chris Richards and Joe Scally and Anthony Robinson. Should Anthony Robinson been better on defense? Sure. The fact that they're throwing crosses in, that's their job. That's their job all day. You don't think Uruguay is going to throw crosses in? You don't think Brazil's going to throw crosses? You don't think Colombia is going to throw crosses in? So he's just so obsessed with trying to solve problems with his arrogance that it doesn't utilize the strength of the players he has. It's the same criticism over and over again. It's just put on display. What was the other thing you were saying? I'll knock these out one by one. The Tyler Adams off at the half. Yeah, that I don't care about. Johnny Cardozo's been excellent with his club. For whatever reason, Greg can't fit him in, can't get the most out of him either. Greg doesn't get the best out of his players. Ricardo Pepi is a world-class goal scorer for PSV, but when it comes to the U.S. men's national team, he kicks it straight to the keeper all the time. I don't know why that's not happening. Pulisic's back to playing hero ball. He's not really being supported by anybody. Weston McKennie's had a very poor tournament. And he's just been given every minute. He's given he got 4 full 90s from Colombia, Brazil, Panama, and Bolivia, and we've seen almost nothing from him. Yet Greg will never take him off. Musa sits his ass on the bench. Gio Reyna gets off the field. McKennie stays on the field. He's blind. All right? Greg's got players. They play below average for him. They play better for the club coaches than for him. And then he just sticks to his boys. McKennie stays on the field for 4 games in a row. McKennie's offered nothing. Tyler Adams wants to play. He limits his minutes that I'm fine with. But Johnny Cardozo is a perfectly capable standby. We get nothing from Johnny. He's a world-class player against Real Madrid in La Liga, but against Panama under Greg, he doesn't know how to play. Now, whose fault is that, right? Let's say it's 50-50. There's just something going on. There are patterns happening. I'm seeing this U.S. team try to frickin' solve equations, and it's like, it's Panama. All of you are 3 leagues better than every position per position. I could have just put out a 4-4-2 and not give them a plan, and I'm sure they would have had a better result. That's what I believe. So, I mean, you texted me and said the coaches don't have a magic wand. But then there's got to be some sort of balance. Are you saying that all coaches just should have no coaches and be uncoached and just go at each other and play pickup ball all the time?
Well, the best coaches in the world always go to teams that have unlimited resources. Why do they do that? Because they know that their influence is limited. And if they have the better squad, they're going to win more often than not. And it's not like some kind of magic and or some tactical like trickery that all of a sudden will turn mediocre guys into world beaters. That is not how it goes. And I mean, I don't want to interrupt.
Hold on. Hold on. You're referencing the U.S. men's national team as a bunch of mediocre guys. Is that what you're
I think they're less good than the average fan
compared
thinks.
to Panama.
I think that's been
compared to Panama.
This is not going to be. I'm not going to when I give my public talk in defense of Greg Berhalter. This is not the game I'm going to use.
I protect for your life. Don't go anywhere in public and defend Greg Berhalter right now. Don't go to that.
But if I decide to do that, tonight is not going to be the game that I'm going to pull out in evidence for his genius. But
any game, it's a pattern.
No,
it's
the thing is,
over and over again. Other teams with lesser players always play better than us.
If you want me to, well, what do I want to say? I mean, I disagree with a lot of things that you said in detail, somewhat. Not like, I mean, I said the Horvath thing because that to me is always the funny thing about that. It's always like, oh, the answer is always the guy who's not playing. Like, you know, like Matt Turner, you said like in the Colombia game that, oh, it's time for Horvath to come in, and here he was, and that was Sean Johnson saves that ball, I think.
No,
Matt Turner does probably. I don't know. That's.
You don't put
That's
that on.
what I think. But okay. But whatever. You don't know.
Is that really
you don't
the
know.
thing? Is that really the thing right
No,
now?
I'm not
Horvath and Turner.
The point that what I'm trying to say, it's not that.
Well,
please go.
What it comes off to me is you're trying to say that we're being unreasonable, right? Because you're not a fan. You look at this from
well, I
it's
think
all being unreasonable. Your players are mediocre, and the quality you have is the quality you have, and you need to get over it. That's what I hear from you.
I think. Well, I mean, I think that's. I don't say it. I don't feel the same hostility that in the way that you're
that's exactly what you're saying.
Paraphrasing me. Well, what I think is I don't. Well, I guess in general, I am just not that interested in blame, I guess. Not even coming to the US. I think in general, it's like that's just part of the I also like watching soccer, you know, I like it sometimes, especially with these big tournaments with the national team. It's also like a freaking affliction, you know? There's like a lot of you invest a lot of emotion into something that has no impact on your life whatsoever. Like that is completely optional. You could just stop caring and nothing would change. But meanwhile, I have, and this is for me, it's Germany. I don't feel that you feel that way about the US. I don't feel that way about the US, which is why I can, you know, crack jokes about Greg and torture you, needle you with my quips on the text. But because I'm not that emotionally invested in these games, but I do care deeply about Germany, and it's like it's hard. Sometimes shit happens, things don't go well, and like it's torture. It's horrible, but it doesn't mean that somebody needs to be blamed necessarily. I don't think anything really improves with this. I mean, I just think that's reductive, and it's not that interesting to me, this idea of like, and I think in the world of the U.S. men's national team, and I think you were I mean, maybe this is you were humoring me or something, but you had some nuance in your opinion, but somehow it was the Colombia game or something happened, and now it's just all Greg all the time, and it's like, I just don't think that is, I mean, how do we know how much blame goes to Tim Weah, how much blame goes to Greg Berhalter for him? Like, it's just stuff that happens. And I mean, I think the slight difference maybe in the supporters of the U.S. men's national team to other countries is this idea that this shouldn't be happening. Like, and I think that's a lot of your specific suffering comes from this idea of this shouldn't be happening. We should be better. And maybe not. It's like, you know, like I've been following Germany for, you know, 50 years or 45 years or whatever. And like, you know, sometimes things go well. Sometimes, I mean, obviously we've had enormous triumphs. We've won how many World Cups in my lifetime? 3. And 2
Euros.
And a couple Euros. And so there was
elite. That's why, again, I'm a fan of both. It's apples and oranges.
Right.
You're like Germany has never lost to Panama 2-1 in a group game. Maybe they lose to them a friendly.
Yeah, but I mean, there's other, fights. You know,
but when
like,
it comes to competitive games, Germany is ready to go. They're elite.
But it's also,
and
but
if they don't, the coach gets fired.
Okay. Anyway, all right. Well,
Erik Liebig can't after Euro 2000. Shit can't. They're like, we don't want to see that again. Then Rudi Völler came in, right? And then they did better, and then Klinsmann came in, and they did good under Klinsmann, and Löw came in. And yeah, they gave Löw 2 years too much, of course. Then they got Flick. He sucked, shit canned. Julian Nagelsmann's up, he's doing well. If he did poorly, he'd get shit canned too.
Yeah, I mean, what's your point?
My point is that Germany play into their expectations. When they were below expectations, there was blame. There was definitely blame, and the federation fixed it. They're like, this is bad. We will fix this now. We're not open to these kinds of mistakes. I understand that they're not machines. That Germany's not going to win 3-0 every day all the time. That Germany gets challenged, but Switzerland stuff like that. However, Germany are still up for winning the Euros. They're an elite team. They're at their best, and they make sure they're at their best at all times. When stuff happens, it's something you can pick apart because it's surprising. For a team like the U.S., you're failing to calibrate the time that has happened. When Greg started, I wasn't Greg at either. We gave him all the time. This, that, players still figuring out. Like, we give him all the time in the world. But now we are at year 6, and it's just the same mistakes over and over again. Fool me once, you know what I mean? Over time, I understand your blamelessness. However, over time, when you see patterns, you're allowed to start blaming. You're allowed to, because it's human mentality. You're allowed to look. You have to know how to analyze something. Like, it can't just. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results, right? So if we see a team that keeps going out there and just plays poopy poop soccer, it's like not even knowing to string passes, forwards aren't scoring, Pulley's doing hero ball. It's like, man, I've had enough. Now again, I don't think Greg is Satan or anything. I don't think he's an idiot. It's just it's been 6 years. There was the great Fiorentina coach back in the 90s, and Fiorentina was crushing it. He's like, eventually fish start to smell, and you got to get a new one or something. I forget exactly what the phrase was. But the fish start to stink. Greg's starting to stink. We just need a new guy with fresh new ideas. That's all. We just need a little bit of a reset. That's all I'm asking. I'm not sitting there saying that Greg is the dumbest human being in the universe, and I can't believe he got this job. But I am sick and tired of hearing all the U.S. soccer guys being like, unfortunately, he's the perfect and only guy for this job. They say, Brian McBride, after being fired by U.S. Soccer, still said that on his interview last week. It's like, Greg is the perfect guy for the job. He's the only one, you know. It's like, no, he isn't. There's vastly other more available and more talented coaches available. Hire one of them to freshen it up, just to freshen it up. You know, I mean, there comes a time, and I hate to bring this to New York Red Bulls, like my time with Dante Van Zier is over. I'm not quick to judgment. I give time. I gave Dante 2 seasons now. And I think last week, finally, my decision has been made after a year and a half of analysis. Dante Van Zier sucks. Right? He can't score goals. He's losing the ball up top. I'm like, okay, I'm done. It's like I gave him every excuse in the book. There comes a time when the excuses do have to stop and judgments have to be made. And I think with the U.S., we're past that time. It definitely started with Colombia because of the feather on the camel's back. It was like, gosh dang, how unprepared are these players? How unwilling to play for their crest are these players? How just like less talented are they under Greg than the clubs are these players? It just happens over and over again. It's like, I'm not an idiot. I see them play well with their clubs. I see them do good soccer. I see them play in the Serie A, and I see them play at the Dutch champions PSV. You know, and I see Chris Richards win Defender of the Season at Crystal Palace. I'm seeing good work from these guys. All right, they're not schlubs. This is a strong generation. I've seen Gio Reyna play good soccer before. I know he's off cold here. But and I understand. Yeah, but really, I understand.
Gotta look hard these days to see.
I know, but that's
Gio Reyna do anything.
But you're ready to hop on any little excuse just to get it off Greg's ass, and it's just like, nah. It's been 6 years. Really, as a head coach, you know, and you offer this narrative where it's going to be the same with a new guy. No, I've been following Bruce, Bob, Jorgen, and Greg. Bruce, Bob, and Jorgen, the players set themselves up well, and we analyzed the players. We didn't really analyze the coaching so hard. Maybe with Bob because defensively we're a little bit lacking. But for crying out loud with Greg, it's Greg talk 24/7. It's Greg, because we've gotten to the point where we know Greg is in the way. He's proven to us he's in the way.
How long does the next guy have?
It doesn't. It's not. It depends. If the U.S. play really well and freely under him, the way if the U.S. plays up to its potential, and then sometimes punches above its weight, which is what we're used to, which is what the Bruce, Bob, and Jorgen years were all about, then he gets as long as it takes before his fish starts to stink, and then we have to get a new guy. But this narrative of Greg being the only person for the job is nonsense. I mean, I hate to say it, but in the last five Columbus Crew coaches, he is the only person who's never won a title with that dumb club.
I don't think he's.
Give me any other Columbus Crew coach. Yeah, but that's what U.S. Soccer's doing. There needs to be. I mean, if we're up to me, I'd fire him tonight, and I'd get BJ to the rest of the tournament, and then look for a new coach after the tournament.
Well,
I just had enough.
The situation is, well, we don't know how this. I mean, if we're assuming that Uruguay is going to beat Bolivia,
which is a very safe assumption, and Uruguay is
starting
going
in
to beat the U.S.
starting in a half an hour, and then so that would mean the U.S. has to beat Uruguay too.
Yeah.
And Uruguay will be already through, so perhaps this will be a Georgia-Portugal situation.
Now, Bjorn,
we don't
Uruguay
know.
has a coach named Marcelo Bielsa. Do you feel he's had no magic coach's touch with any of his clubs or national teams that Marcelo Bielsa has coached?
Well, I mean, it took him a while, though, right? Like, it's not like... no, listen, I'm not going to... but what's your point about that? So Bielsa is a better coach.
You're doing this... Yeah, he's a vastly better coach.
Better
he's
coach
smarter
than
tactically, a much better man-man.
I think
you argue with that or not?
No.
So there are levels of quality of coaches, right?
Yeah, I mean, this is you are twisting what I'm saying to mean that I think Greg is the greatest coach that's ever.
I didn't say that, but you're saying he's
earth.
blameless. You're saying he's blameless.
No, I'm not saying that either.
Want.
I'm not saying that either at all. That he's blameless? Well, I mean, like I said, I don't like to, I don't like that whole that brand of analysis necessarily of like, well, who fucked up? Like, I mean, who cares? It's like, but okay, no, I don't think he's blameless.
We have to know
obviously.
to solve the problem. We have to know who fucked up to solve the problem.
Well, there's a lot of a lot of things go wrong for a lot. I mean, ask Brazil, like they are ready to crucify their guy.
Yeah, they're gonna, and they should sack the coach, get a new one because they fix their problems fast.
I guess. Okay.
When I lived in Brazil, I think in 1 year from 2000 to 2002, Brazil had 4 or 5 different head coaches.
So, but. So
and then they won the World Cup. And then they won the World Cup, by the way.
When they finally found the right one?
Yep, Felipão. Lyon was a failure. Vanderlei was a failure. And it might have just been those two.
I mean,
it does. You're not allowed to sit there and be like, coaches are blameless. It's just the players. Coaches are in charge of the shit.
But this is not... I'm not saying that. That is something that's... You're saying that. I'm not... You're saying that I say that. I don't say that.
All right. You still have never criticized Greg in any way via text or on this podcast.
What?
Yet.
Not untrue. Listen to it again.
Criticize Greg right now to prove.
He should not have. His biggest World Cup flaw was starting Jesus Ferreira against the Netherlands. So that was absurd. That was an absurd decision.
The biggest flaw of that game was he refused to. The Dutch are like, this dude's an idiot. He just does this possession play. We just hit him on the counter behind the back. We'll just do it over and over again, no problem. That's exactly what happened. Louis van Gaal is a superior coach and freaking ate Greg's lunch. Jesus Ferreira was a small part of that game. The big issue of that game was Greg's lack of tactical acumen. We'll have to agree or disagree, I guess. Louis van Gaal is a better coach than Greg Berhalter. Do you agree or disagree?
Okay, I suppose. I'm not a huge fan of Van Gaal necessarily, but okay, maybe. I mean, the other things went wrong in that game other than starting Ferreira, but I thought that was an extremely poor decision. And I don't know that I would have taken Gio Reyna off today, actually. I think he did well. I thought he defended really well. And he's just a dynamic guy that probably could have been useful. I don't know if Cameron Carter-Vickers gives up that penalty that then got called back, obviously then that would also be you would call that a poor choice. But whatever. I don't have to. It's not like I think he's a flawless
What was CCV's
coach.
point at all today? I didn't get. We needed goals. Why is CCV out there? What did he do for us today?
You're asking
Meanwhile,
me?
Brendan Aronson sits on the bench, but
I didn't put him
CCV comes out there. And Greg's criticism is too defensive. Does today's game management alleviate that in any way, do you think?
Well, I mean, I think he was, they were man down. He needed the point. I mean, obviously it didn't work. So there's that. And so that's why he's now probably going to lose his job. But
let's hope so.
But
I know you don't want to talk about him anymore.
He wanted to save a point, which was more important than not losing was more important than winning, just in terms of the group math. But it all went poorly.
And going back to our earlier thread, you see absolutely no parallels between Gareth Southgate in England and Greg in the United States.
Well, I think it's different in the sense, that's what we were. Yeah, I think the parallels are obvious. The parallels are that people hate them both with a passion.
But like Southgate's got Kane, and he's got Bellingham, and then he's got.
Well, that's I think
Jack
when
Grealish
I watch,
couldn't even make the squad this summer for whatever.
Well, that's my point. I think when you watch this England squad, and then I think Gareth Southgate does a lot of the things that people accuse Greg of, even more so. It's like he has a really, really strong squad, and he is very conservative. And right. But I mean, there's a reason why he does that. On the other hand, because like you were pointing out, he has the most success. He has the most success of any England coach for a long time. So
True.
I don't know. And it's like, and that's a little bit like the German teams of the 80s, the 82, 86 German World Cup teams. That's probably before your time. But like those were similar. They were very successful. They made 2 World Cup finals, but they were pretty universally reviled in Germany for being like very, it was not just the way they were. I mean, they were playing. There was that whole Germany-Austria disgrace of the game.
But hold on. Was England reviled on their run to the semis and their Euro finals appearance, do you think?
Reviled is perhaps too much, too strong a term, but there's frustration. Yeah, England fans are very frustrated with Southgate, and not just now. I mean, people think that he was not aggressive enough in the final against. I mean, and I think there is some.
Here's the big question. Here's the big question: If Gareth Southgate were fired, and Greg was hired the new English national team coach, do you think the team would get better or get worse under Greg's stewardship? I don't know the answer. I'm curious what you think.
Yeah, I had not considered that. Since this is obviously, there's zero chance of that happening.
But let's say hypothetically,
completely
with Greg's quality as a head coach, his tactical acumen.
I'm going to say they would improve under Greg, actually.
Okay.
Yeah. That is my opinion.
And then if Southgate became the U.S. coach, they'd be even worse then, right?
I think probably be about the same. I mean, he would probably set the team up differently. He would have get 2 more Tyler Adams clones. He would play Cardoso and Tyler Adams together.
He only play the people that play in the English Premier League. He doesn't know anybody.
I don't know. I mean,
Josh Sargent, Haji Wright, it'd be Tyler Adams.
These are hypotheticals. Yeah. Oh, he would only play the
English guys.
Yeah, I don't know. It's I mean, the England thing.
The big
I mean, that's just my opinion. If I look at
the English are allowed to demand more, the Germans are allowed to demand more, but for you, we as U.S. fans are not allowed to demand more.
Well, I think
mediocrity.
I think there's a big gap between those player pools. Yeah, for sure. I think so.
Yeah, but we're not talking about player pools.
No, we are talking about.
I'm not blind. Like when Bruce Arena had half of the DC United starting lineup and a Pittsburgh Riverhounds winger, and he went and beat Portugal 3-2 at the World Cup. That's the U.S. mentality. We fight hard and we punch above our weight sometimes. The expectation of the U.S. men's national team is to be better than Panama every time. Remember, I went to the Gold Cup semis last summer, and Panama beat us. And it was very embarrassing. And it was terrible. I'm like, well, that was a fluke. Turns out it wasn't a fluke. Turns out they beat us again at the Copa America a year later. right? Again, expecting no changes but expecting different results makes me insane. Therefore, we have to change it up. If we can't beat Panama, and we're talking about, it's not Germany, Denmark here. Panama has never made the World Cup, except the one time that through a ref fluke they got in 2018, and then they lost to England 6-1 in the opener, and they got destroyed because they weren't of the quality to be. Panama is not a World Cup quality team, yet they've beaten us twice.
So they're like
the gap
Hungary
is huge.
or Scotland.
I would say less. I mean, the Panama players, and also to be clear, I want to say that I was a little unfair to Denmark. When I analyze, I looked at, they do have more big club players than I realized, and none of their players play in Denmark. They do have a contingent of players that play in Belgium, though. And in the United States, we try not to call up our Belgian-based players. We have one. We have Mark McKenzie, but the rest we try not to call up. So there's a little bit of there. But Denmark has like a dude on Roma, a dude on Inter Milan, and they have they have 5 or 6 big club players, more than the U.S. does, I think. So, but anywho, Panama to me isn't a Hungary. Because Hungarians, they play in the Bundesliga, right? Michael Murillo plays in France. So I saw him. He went to Belgium and France. He made it. The rest of the Panamanian players, they're MLS guys. They play in Panama. They're CONCACAF guys that can't make a World Cup. So it is, I'd put the Jamaican squad stronger than the Panamanian squad. And we should, just like how Germany should be beating, I'm trying to think it's hard to compare in Europe, but Germany should be beating a Slovenia.
North Macedonia.
Germany should be beating North Macedonia.
Who we
9 times out of 10.
Who we lost to as well.
Right. But 9 times, not at a major tournament. North Macedonia is not going to beat us at the World
Euro
Cup.
qualifier.
Well, but then did we win at home?
Yeah, I think so.
I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but it's a fluke. All right.
Okay.
The United States gets eliminated by these teams from major competitions. We lost to Panama in the semis of the Gold Cup. Germany didn't lose to North Macedonia in the Euro quarterfinals. They're about to lose to Spain. That I unfortunately have to accept.
Got to get past Denmark first.
So Germany, Denmark, is unreasonable for me to be like, yes, Denmark is very, very good, but Germany should win 2-1, maybe even overtime. Isn't that the expectation of Germany?
Well, according to Goal Impact or whatever, it's 71% Germany, 29% Denmark is
that's reasonable.
Is the probability?
Right?
Yeah, but that means if they play, I think it's reasonable. But then probabilities, in soccer only means so much. It's like that means if they play 10 times, Denmark wins 3. So
what's we only
win
Panama?
What? I don't know.
What's the probability? Because we lost them 3 times, I think. The last 3 competitive games are U.S. losses. That's not the probability of that.
You think the probability is higher than 70% to win against Panama? Probably not.
Wait a minute. Are you saying that?
Well, I mean, it's in the knockout. In a knockout,
30% are 3 in a row.
Well, this is a what? Wait, what?
Are you saying the probability of us winning 70%, their 30% is 3 in a row? That's not how probability works. That's not how probability works. In the last 10 times, because we lost them last summer, we shouldn't lose them for another 10 years. That's what probability is.
Well, I guess probability fucked you tonight then.
Why would 30%? So the 30% means they get 3 wins in a row? All 10% is in a row?
We only live in one. It's not like, but this is not cumulative either. If you go to the roulette table, right? That's not how probability works. If you go to the roulette table, and there's red 3 times in a row, what are the chances next time of there being black or red? It's still 50-50. It doesn't go.
That's true.
It doesn't make a difference.
That's true. As a man who's lost a lot of money on roulette, I 100%.
It's not cumulative. And we only live in one timeline. The U.S. had a 97 probability to qualify for that World Cup, and they still.
As a fan, it is my responsibility to love the team and demand pressure and get results. Losing to Panama twice means the coach gets fired. I understand it happens, but the coach gets fired.
Okay.
He's supposed to do better than that.
Well, you're going to get your wish, and then we're going to see.
I don't know,
happens
man.
With the next guy.
I don't know, man. I would be all about the next guy because, again, I felt Greg was a little underqualified for the job. his only part of his resume is he coached Columbus Crew really well, quote unquote, and that got him the job. So there's a lot of better candidates out there.
All right,
So
who's your number one favorite?
my number one realistic target right now is
Yeah.
the current Columbus Crew coach.
Caleb
Frenchie-
Porter.
No, Frenchie McGee. You're talking about the New England Revolution coach.
Oh.
Frenchie McGee, what's his name?
Wilfred Nancy.
Wilfred Nancy. Huge upgrade. Huge
Okay.
upgrade.
All right.
And I love that Jesse Marsh
I mean,
with Canada
yeah,
is
he'd be
showing.
great.
Jesse Marsh has got a point to prove with Canada this summer, and I think he's going to prove it. I think Canada might go further than the United States. We'll see. We'll see. And if it's not Wilfred Nancy, I'm perfectly fine with a Jim Curtin or a Steve Trundle. I'm fine with them.
So Jim Curtin
I would
and Steve
gladly
Cherundolo are going to be
I would-
significantly are a significant upgrade over Greg. Okay, we'll see.
They're title winners, and Greg is not a title winner. I mean, there's got to be respect to coaches that know
I
how to win
mean,
titles.
the guy who puts the names on the Leagues Cup trophy would beg to differ.
What's the reference I'm missing? What are you talking about?
Greg has won how many Leagues Cups? 3?
Oh, the Nations League. I thought you meant the Leagues
Oh,
Cup between
Nations
MLS
League.
and
Oh,
Mexican
right.
Club.
No, I'm sorry. I don't
Yeah,
even.
he did. He did that after he got the job. That's a different thing. Here we go.
Greg Perez thinks we need Greg Perez. I'm
MLS.
sorry if I said that wrong. We need a foreign
Greg
coach
Perez.
with no ties to MLS or USSF.
I have been on
All
record.
right.
I think David Moyes would be excellent. I'm all about
David
David
Moyes.
Moyes.
That makes me
And
laugh.
you always laugh.
That is like Graham Potter to VfL Bochum.
I'll take Graham Potter to the USSF right now. I'd do that too. I'd take Graham Potter. He's available, right? He's very available. I'll take Graham Potter.
He just signed up for something.
I'll take Ralf Rangnick.
Ralf Rangnick has
He
turned
makes half.
Austria into a world beater.
Yeah, and he makes half what Greg makes. Greg makes twice the amount of money as Ralf Rangnick. Do you feel that is appropriate value?
This is coming out of your pocket. His paycheck.
No, Greg makes $2.2 million a year from U.S. Soccer. Ralf Rangnick gets paid, I think, 1.5 from Österreich.
Okay.
Which means he'd get paid if we offered him twice his salary.
Well,
You think he'd come and do it?
a lot of that is for the emotional abuse that he has been subjected to.
No, it isn't. It's because U.S. Soccer can get paid. Greg is higher paid than half the coaches at the Copa this summer. He gets paid way more than Lionel Scaloni.
This is
does.
another thing.
Do you feel that Lionel Scaloni is worth less than Greg Berhalter?
It's another thing I'm not interested in. Blaming
But it's a thing.
and how much people make. I don't.
No, because the reason I bring it up is because people like you are like, U.S. Soccer can never afford a foreign coach. It's like we pay our coach more than that most
I would
of the
never.
foreign.
That's all again something I've never said.
I guess I've
have never said or thought.
Ralf Rangnick, if U.S. Soccer offers him a job, it's like a 30% pay increase. You don't think he'd move to Colorado for a 30% pay increase to coach the U.S. men's national team?
I don't know. I guess we'll see how things go with Austria.
Okay, now Greg.
Klopp
no.
is the perfect fit, but he would never. What?
Exactly, Greg. Just like you said, Klopp would never coach the U.S. men's national team. We need to stop bringing it up. Klopp would be amazing because Klopp is a man manager, and again, like we talk about, certain coaches offer real value that other coaches cannot. And Klopp, to be a national team coach, it's man management above all. Tactics come secondary to man management, and Klopp is Mr. Man Management. You know, Pep has more titles because he had vastly more resources. Klopp could compete with Pep Guardiola with a fraction of the resources because he was just such a great man manager. I mean, and just a great psychological. We need someone like that. We need a pump-up guy. We need a man manager. We need a guy who keeps it simple and just gets the players ready to go and sets them up for success. And
it's gonna be so great
what's going to be great? Yeah.
when we get that guy, that new coach, and everything's gonna be awesome, and we're gonna blow all these. U.S. are gonna blow all these minions away.
At home, Atlanta, the future home of U.S. Soccer, Arthur Blank of the Big Pack Stadium. We were supposed to lose Panama 2-1. It's ridiculous.
I empathize, even though you're coming after me. I'm empathizing with your pain. That was a very frustrating. If I was a diehard USA fan, this would have driven me insane. Just
What's
like
it take
England.
for you to become a
Just
diehard
like
USA
England. I mean, they gotta
kids are
put
American. Your NYCFC fan.
gotta put James Sands back on the team when when Jimmy
They could have
Sands
used him today. They could have used him today.
when Jimmy Sands was on the team, I watched every game and I was super engaged because that guy is like a family member to me. I guess. I mean, I'm a sympathizer. I get I was definitely when Balogun scored today. I get a little excited. Do I say I look like shit?
They do look like shit. Under Greg, they look like shit. Bruce Arena 2 years ago would be like, we've been playing really shitty soccer. You just said that, and I love it. I'm like, amen, Bruce. Someone fucking said it. Like,
I mean, everybody. It seems like everybody is like Alexi Lalas says he's going to lose his job. When Clint Dempsey has
right. He was speechless.
Has made no secret of his opinions about Greg for a while. So I mean, nobody likes him. I mean, I think
people that know what they're talking about want him gone. Like,
yeah, only stupid people like me.
Sign up.
Have some nuanced
and Colin Coward
and
Stephen A.
opinions.
Smith. And Stephen A. Smith and Colin Coward.
But what are you going to do if he beats Uruguay? Then what? Then you're back to the drawing board. You got to root for.
No, we're not back to the drawing board. If we could have this group second place, it's like, God damn it, Greg. Under Bruce and Bob, we've got in this group first place. We're just below.
Well,
average.
I guess I'm now also rooting for Uruguay, and hopefully this put an end to this.
I'm still rooting for the USA till I die. However, what I will say is, as someone roots for Germany and the United States, the mentality of both programs are polar opposite. I understand, like with Germans, everything is about mathematics and expectations, just like you're offering. But the American sports mentality is something the Euro snobs don't understand. Is Americans?
If you call me a Euro snob, if you call me a Euro snob one more time, I'm going to.
I'm not talking about you. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about Euro snobs in general.
All right.
The people are like, the U.S. should suck, and you should know you suck. You know you suck. You're Americans. Those people. I know it's not you. Those people. What they need to understand is that American athletes, the American sport, the reason we win the Olympics every fucking 2 years, pardon my French, is because the Americans have a sport mentality any given Sunday, and we punch above our weight. All right? Miracles starring Kurt Russell. Check it out. All right? We punch above our weight. Most teams, like in Ireland or Scotland, they don't have the mentality like that. They just don't think like that. The Europeans don't think like that. For them, it's like everything should be exactly as it's measured out. And I understand that, and I appreciate it, and that's Europe, and I love Europe and all. But what they don't understand is us Americans can punch above our weight regularly. We're allowed to expect that. And the U.S. men's national team has done that over and over again in the past. And for the U.S. fan base, we should expect that. And when it doesn't happen, the coach deservedly should be at fault. It's crazy. We are the only fan base that is allowed to expect it because it's a part of our culture. And it's just a thing. True. The fact that our roster isn't as strong as yours has never gotten in our way in the past. And for whatever reasons, now we're doing the opposite. It's really getting in the way now. Now Panama's doing the American mentality against us. And that's bad. So that's all I'm going to say about when Euro snobs, unlike yourself and other Euro snobs, like to analyze when the other Euro snobs, when they like to analyze the U.S. and demand that we should be perfectly fine with our mediocre results and be like, that's what it's like. That's what the math machine said it would be like. Yes, I understand that in Europe.
The math machine. What is this concoction of your angry brain? The math machine. What is this math machine you speak of?
Like the FIFA guys, the ones that's like Brazil versus Costa Rica. The math.
But
machine
I'm arguing against the math machine. You're willfully twisting my. I'm saying shit happens sometimes. You're not gonna win every game. Ever.
You're talking about the opposite of the math machine. I'm talking about the other side of the math machine, the one where we win the games we're not supposed to win. You're talking about sometimes you lose the games you're not supposed to lose. True.
Yeah. I'm
talking about the games we win we're not supposed to win. We haven't had any of those. We've only had what you've said. We've had a lot of what you said. We haven't had any of what I said. The beating the teams we're not supposed to beat.
The beating the teams. Well, I mean, yeah, okay.
We needed a coach that flips the math machine and does what I said. We beat the teams we're not supposed to beat. And then the losing team's not supposed to lose to. We keep that down to a very slim minimum, not an expectation.
It's all going to come down to this next game, and so either Greg will beat Uruguay, a team where he's not supposed to be, or he'll be done.
We'll see. We'll see. I hope he has I hope the U.S. bounce back. A really strong game against Uruguay. I'd love to them beat Uruguay. That's what I want to see, and I still believe that can happen. Like under Greg, he's usually 2 steps backward, 1 step forward. There is usually some sort of response. It always such a roller coaster with him. So I'm hoping the Uruguay game is what we want it to be, a victory. Or that's going to be
that's going to be that's going to be because of the players, though. Not Greg gets no credit.
I didn't say that. Greg gets a lot of credit in that tie against Brazil. They played really well. He set them up to succeed. Now he needs to do the same against Uruguay. He needs to set them up to win against Uruguay. Against a much superior coach. So
I just enjoy hearing you say Uruguay.
I like saying it. It's probably not even the right way to say it. I think that's how the Brazilians say it. Uruguay. This Saturday, United States.
Now here's the best
Uruguay.
news. Daniel Young bought a Germany jersey. Good decision. And he will wear it to the Aston Villa versus RB Leipzig game. Oh, they're coming. RB Leipzig are coming to RBA?
I didn't even know that.
This summer?
About
for
time.
Friendly?
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
That'll be fun.
Maybe.
You gonna go?
Well, I've been traditionally sort of not super into the preseason friendlies, but this last summer, twice I got invited. Somebody had extra tickets, and I had a great time. So if somebody invites me, I'll go. I don't know that I'm going to spend big money. I wouldn't spend big money on.
I was invited to the Real
friendlies.
Madrid AC Milan game at the Rose Bowl, and it was a blast. A good time.
Yeah, it's fun. The Arsenal Man U game was great. That was fun. And then I went to Newcastle and Brighton at RBA. I like going to. I mean, RBA is a nice stadium. I like RBA in the summer. You go across the way to the Ironbound, have a little sangria and Portuguese food. I mean, what could be better? It's
they just
beautiful.
announced that they're expanding the suites. They're building a lot more suites at the stadium.
Yeah, they need to figure out their pricing. I tried to buy a suite there, and they quoted me like $14,000 for 20 people or something.
Now they have more. Maybe it goes down a little bit. However, 90% of the people that go to those games are the problem. We're talking about Euro snobs, American Euro snobs, only watch the English Premier League. Those are the guys I'm talking about.
The people who will happily pay $120 for a meaningless preseason friendly, but won't go to an MLS. Yeah, I mean, I agree. I make fun of those people. I make fun of those people too, Stefan. I don't. It's not just you I pick on.
Anywho, it was a sad game, sad day. And the good thing about being a German American like me is I have 2 teams to root for, and finally Germany is back to its old self, and we got a good shot. And of all the big teams in Europe, Germany and Spain are the only 2 who are not underperforming. Everybody else is really underperforming. France, England, I mean, God.
But often you know how that goes in the knockouts. Sometimes the early peakers don't always survive. So. $50. I would pay $50. Daniel Young paid $50 for Aston Villa versus Leipzig. I mean,
I feel here in LA, any game in the world, it's at least $100, except for the LA Galaxy. That's the only one we can get in for cheap.
I mean, when I was a young person, like Bochum preseason games, they were free and they gave you sausages sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, just paying for.
But
anyway, it's fine. It's different. It's not the same. You don't see
marketing. This is a marketing.
No,
event.
I understand. I have some. I guess that makes me an anti-Euro snob. I feel like this is a. Yeah, it's it's not how I would spend my money a lot of the time. But anyway, but not to. Danny Young is saying Man City and AC Milan is $120 for the upper. Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot of money.
And that's because of Man City for the most part.
And
I need to watch Uruguay, so we do need to.
We're gonna sign off. Uruguay is playing Bolivia.
Yeah, and
I'm actually my adopted team for this Copa America is Venezuela. Venezuela is fun. They're like the Girona of CONMEBOL. Yangel, NYCFC, underrated NYCFC legend Yangel Herrera.
Yeah, terrible. Christian Caceres, New York Red Bull super holding midfielder.
Terrible. You just called Yangel Herrera terrible?
Yeah, the real player is Christian Caceres from New York Red Bulls.
Have you watched him play?
Yeah, Christian Caceres is king on that team.
All right.
I'm just being a homer, Bjorn. I haven't watched him super closely. I'm sure
Yangle.
Herrera's fine.
Take a look at
The only
Yangle.
player I recognized was Christian Caceres. That's why I said it.
No, he has a Venezuela or not. He has a soft spot in my heart because he is just he was great, and he was somewhat underrated. He's just when Patrick Vieira was asked which one of the players he would pick if he had to go fight somebody, he said, I'm going to take Yangel Herrera, and he's like a little guy. He's not a bruiser,
Feisty.
but he was a feisty midfielder. There's a picture of him. I have to find this. Maybe I'll send it to you. There's a picture of him in this rain game against Seattle where Yankee Stadium was just flooded and everybody was slipping and sliding. And Yangel Herrera is like sliding through. There's like a picture of him, water everywhere. He's like sliding on this, and he just has this stoic expression of like, what am I doing here? Anyway, I'm glad he's doing well with Venezuela. Venezuela.
I'm just glad that the New York Red Bulls have so many alumni playing
represented.
both their tournaments. Yeah, they're essentially on every team in both tournaments.
Amazing.
Good for them. Thank God for the Red Bull system. Speaking of blast for the past, I saw Guerrero come on the field for Peru that first game, and I'm like, Guerrero? It's not the Guerrero from Bayern München, is it? It is. That dude played for Bayern München in 2005. I remember he played alongside Claudio Pizarro. I think Elber might have still been on the team.
He's still hanging in there. That's crazy.
He's still playing. I'm like, I thought that guy retired like 10 years ago. Now he's been up and around, playing around. Good for him. He's still out there, man. Good for him, man.
I mean, Pepe is still playing for Portugal.
I love it. I love all these blasts from the past. It's like, oh yeah, that guy from my history. It's like, now they're still around.
Claudio Bravo, 41.
That's right. And a great save, too. He had a great performance.
Yeah. And a great mustache.
Oh, yeah. He's also, 40, 41?
41.
But anywho, I need to go because I need to watch the end. I need to see this Uruguay.
All right,
I need to
goodbye.
see this Bielsa guy.
We'll talk on Saturday.
Saturday,
after
Samstag.
Germany. All right.
After Germany, Denmark. Good luck, Germany. Go Deutschland. Make me proud. Give me a team to root for this summer that doesn't fall over itself. All right. Tschüss.
Tschüss.
Bis Samstag.
Oh, I should play the thing.
Yeah.
Oh, I totally forgot.
Beep boop 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 beep boop boop. Boop, boop, beep, boop, boop. All right, Greg Perez, Seba S, Daniel Young, thanks for joining us in the chat. Those listening at home,
glad you
did a live chat.
Glad you
Come
tuned in.
Vent with us. We believe it. We believe in the USA. We believe in Germany.
Greg may still break us up.
USA.
We don't know. Stay tuned. Will Greg break us up? Break up the Schnitzel boys? We'll see.
Well, it's important to feel. It's important to have emotion.
It's important to feel, but sometimes sadness is an option too. It doesn't always have to be anger.
Yeah, but sadness is just anger misplaced.
No, it's
I make sure
not.
my anger is proper.
No, I think you could say the opposite. Anyway.
Right? Maybe I did get that wrong. Maybe anger is sadness misplaced? I don't know. Either or. Call a therapist.
Depression is anger turned inward. I think that I've heard that before. I don't know if that's true.
Yeah, right? So that's what I'm saying. So if I'm angry, I'm avoiding the sadness. I'm letting my anger go out.
Just feel the sadness. It's okay.
Sometimes I feel too much sadness when it comes to football and soccer. The German national team's been tough to follow. The U.S. men's national team, it's just like... Anyway, it's lovely. It's all good. USA's gonna start winning again.
Sports pain is the sweetest pain. It's true. It's hard.
True.
Yeah, because it's not. All right.
Bis Samstag.
Tschüss.
Where it'll be a good day. It'll be 2-1. What's your predicts for Samstag, real quick? I'm thinking 2-1 Germany.
I hope Germany's going to win. I hope it's not going to be overtime or anything like really stressful like that, but it might be. It's possible.
Is it in Dortmund? Or I think it's in Dortmund, and that week.
Stuttgart, I believe.
Oh, is it? I think our Spain game would be in Dortmund, which is a good thing because that's our fortress. I think we only lost in Dortmund once or something.
All right.
Anywho, tschüss.